Hey guys, Harvey, the founder of Rico, and welcome to our Why Cali series, a series of interviews with calisthenics athletes, trainers, and coaches, finding out why they started calisthenics, what it means to them, and some tips and challenges that they faced along their journey. So, hope you enjoy this interview, and let's get into it. Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Why Cali series. Today we are here with Harry Baldwin.
Hello everyone.
Hello Harry. Thanks for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Happy to be here.
Harry, for those that kind of don't know you or don't know what you're all about, do you want to just give us a little brief introduction to yourself and kind of what you're all about?
Sure. So I run Calisthenics Compounds, which is an online training service where I get my clients to achieve world-class results using calisthenics and compound movements. And I've been PTing for 7 years now. The last 4 years, I've been focusing on calisthenics and then also competing as an athlete. And yeah, really getting involved with everything in the UK. So
Excellent.
That's pretty much
a wealth of knowledge.
Yeah, I've studied a lot, especially in the lockdowns. I kind of went, right, this isn't working. I tried loads of different programs. I was like, this isn't working. This isn't working. I've got my gym knowledge. I've got my training knowledge from the past, and then read a load of books, studied, looked at everyone's programs, took those golden nuggets, and then came up with my own system.
Amazing. So Harry, take us back then. So when did you first start sort of calisthenics?
I mean, even as a kid, you could argue like it always goes right back, right? Even as a kid, I'd always do 10 push-ups, or I was always climbing a tree.
Yeah.
But seriously, when I sort of went, right, I'm going to take this as far as it can go, that was in the lockdowns when we were forced to have no gym. And I was like, I like the bodyweight stuff anyway. I already did a little bit of it. It wasn't the main thing I did. I did more conventional gym training. And then in lockdown, I just had a mat and I was doing more yoga, animal flow. And then the Cali strengthening side stood out to me more than anything. It was the most enjoyable part and it humbled me more than anything else, which I really liked. And it also got me as strong as the weights did. So that's when I thought, okay, there's something good about this. There's something more enjoyable than just normal basic training. And then I started getting really strong and I felt better as well, going after flexibility. And that just set me up, I think, on a trajectory from there. So when the gyms reopened and I had all the tools back that I knew how to use, then I could just put it all together. And but it was in the lockdowns for sure.
Awesome. And how did you find that kind of, like you mentioned, that transition, that sort of humbling experience from going from maybe some gym experience and weights to, I don't know, maybe jumping on the bars for the first time or some rings? How did you kind of find that?
Tough to start with, but I realized like, oh, this is way harder than what it looks. So everyone that does calisthenics, it looks hard, but we've all had that journey of that humbling moment or whatever exercise it is. It might be pull-ups, for instance. That's a common one where you just feel heavy and you're like, I know I can be stronger here. And instead of avoiding it, I think there's those who avoid it and they might stay on the lat pull down and stuff. And then there's those who are like, right, let's have it. And then they start smashing the rings, smashing the pull-ups, and then they see that progress that they wouldn't have seen in the gym. It almost jumps up a level. And then you can access so much more body weight exercises. And I think that's what keeps people really hungry. It's like a game.
Yeah. And there's always more to kind of unlock. And
Exactly.
When you first start, you're at the very, well, maybe if you've got a bit of like kind of previous, you might be maybe a little bit more in advance, but you're pretty much starting from the bottom, aren't you? Kind of mastering the very, very simple exercises, right?
Yeah, and you're strengthening between the lines as well, where you might miss a certain range of motion with weights or something. If you've been sticking to just that program, it can really make you work on your stabilizing muscles and work on your flexibility and stretch you out in a new way, strengthen you in a new way. And there's so many more options as well. But that's also why it's confusing for some people. But once you get that first step, I think you start to see the journey, and you're like, well, if I can go here, then I can go here. And you really can go as far as you want.
Yeah. And it's all like about that progression, right? So, you know, if you're, what would you say to, you know, has helped you progress on your journey from, you know, transitioning into calisthenics to actually get into the sort of level that you're at? What are some keys to your kind of progression that you found along the way?
I think really knowing what you want and choosing something that's within 3 months away rather than something that's years down the line. And you might need to speak to someone that has been doing it for a while or that's ahead to find out where that is for you. But that's what you want to do, is just set that short-term goal, tick it off, smash it out the way, and then you can look at the next thing and the next thing, rather than jumping on something and being like, oh, this doesn't work. You need to just see it working. That's the main thing. I would say the faster you can see it working, and the more you fully commit to it and start repeating that exercise and really get to know it, get to know your form, and then it will work.
Because I mean, everyone wants the, what wants to be smashing it and get to that kind of level. But what do you see in people that kind of maybe when they're starting out, some of the common mistakes that they make, or some of the struggles that, you know, they kind of go through to prevent them from getting to that stage?
So I see this a lot because I get such a range of clients and a range of jobs and mindsets, but it's actually the mindset. I would say at the start, I can tell how hungry someone is for it. Like they almost have this animal inside of them. That's how I would describe it. And they want to train hard, and they also appreciate that it's going to take a little bit of time. They're the ones that seem to fly, and even when you watch them training, you can see that they're doing it. It doesn't matter how strong they are, and I never mind how strong someone is. It's more the intention behind their workout and how in the moment they are. You have to be really present with Cali, and I think those people that can be there and really have that focus and drive, they're the ones that do really well. And if you don't have that, you can learn to get that as well by continuing to train and building that momentum.
And how important do you think mindset is in training, or when you're achieving your goals? Like, how important as a factor is it?
Like I don't know how you'd get very far without it, if I'm honest. If you didn't believe, that's the most important thing. If you don't believe you can do that, if you can't actually visualize yourself doing something, it's very unlikely to happen, because your brain can't navigate your path there. It can't find the right program, the right coach, the right facility to get you to that place. So, or even surrounded by the right people, you need to believe that you can get there. And if in your head it's the opposite, so I've seen people that I know can get to that place or that goal, whatever that is, but their mindset pulls them back just before they get there. And they're almost in that little loop, that plateau.
Yeah. I think it's gold, right? That mindset. I think it's so important. But let's take someone who's maybe not got that mindset. So maybe let's say I'm someone who doesn't believe that I can do it, right? I want it's my goal, but I'm someone that maybe doesn't believe it. I'm someone maybe with a bit of a negative mindset, or I'm someone that, you know, maybe I've tried a couple of things and I've failed. You know, does that stop me from getting there? Or what?
No, that's good. Like,
to get that winning mindset,
you should fail more. Keep failing, basically. You will be failing more than you succeed. You will fall over, you'll stumble, you might pick up a little injury. All of those are little lessons to say, right, don't do that, do this. And then you're kind of getting rid of the weeds. Every time you fail, you're getting rid of the weeds, and then you can get to that next level. And I think to get that mindset, you need to get through that first bit. You need to hit a few failures and get past them, and then realize, oh, that's the game we're playing.
Yeah,
Like with anything as well, that transfers into life, I think, massively.
I think so.
Yeah, just the lessons that you learn when you're training, they also
Mm,
apply in life. So you just realize that failure is part of it
mm,
and enjoy the failure. Like, have fun with it. If you fall over, laugh at yourself. I think that's quite an enjoyable part of it, if I'm honest.
mm. What do you think about the fear of failure? Like, what do you think about people who maybe don't do things because they are scared that they're going to fall over, or they are scared that they're going to not be able to do a pull up, and that prevents them from getting started? What advice would you kind of give to people with that framed mindset?
Prepare as best you can.
Mm,
If you do your best up until that moment or that thing that you're trying to do, that's all you can do. So if you
mm,
fail, you're like, well, I did my best for my current situation. And instead of thinking, oh, I should be that, I should be here, I should be owed this result because I've put in this amount of work, but you just haven't done enough yet. That's all it is. Or your perception of how much work it takes is off, which I think is something a lot of people don't realize, how much work it really takes and how much consistency
mm,
to do certain things.
mm.
Um, sorry, I've gone on a bit of a tangent there.
No, I think it's important because I think, going, going back to that belief that you said. So going back to people where, you know, believing you can do it before you've even started, I think is the key. And if I could
Yeah,
instill that in everybody, just
even
a
if
little
it's
bit
just
of self-belief.
5% belief. Yeah,
Mm. But how do you
even
take, say, someone who doesn't believe in themselves, and they've maybe overweight and they're maybe failing in terms of like they can't achieve those goals. What
yeah,
would you say to someone in that position who actually doesn't maybe have that bit of self-belief to start with?
I know they can already because you can break it down into attributes.
Mm,
Like, have you got enough strength? Are you the right body composition, body fat? Uh, is your nutrition in check? Is it your lifestyle? All those things, looking at everything. And to
mm,
start with, yeah, that picture might be a bit crazy. There might be a lot of things that you need to focus on. And all you need to do is see things going in the right direction once
mm,
and know how you did it. Like, write it down, your training split, what you were eating, all of that. If you see it going in the right direction once, when you also appreciate time and you're like, right, I give myself a year to get that 5% less of body fat,
mm,
well, that's easy then.
mm,
So instead of going, oh, it's going to be 4 days, yeah, I'm going to train twice a day, every day, I'm going to eat barely nothing, that won't work. The short term quick fix doesn't work, and there's so much of that in the fitness industry because people buy it basically.
yeah, quick
But if
results.
you give yourself that time and you see it as a journey, and it's very individual, your way from A to B. If you see it as a journey, you'll appreciate it and enjoy it so much more as
Mm.
well. Like, you'll
And
see it
how
as a process that you're learning and you're
mm,
just continuously getting better, and you should never get bored of a habit that is good for you.
mm,
You should never get bored of that, and I think people do, or they fall off, or they're like, oh, it's working now so I can quit, but it's something that you have to keep going.
yeah.
And again, that falling off and then coming back to it, that's also part of it, and that could be counted as a failure or a little lesson when you come back and you're like, right, now I know my turning point is a week. So if I ever have a week off, bang, I'm back in, it's a fresh Monday and I can go again.
Mm,
It's the lifestyle that you choose from the start, and I think it's important day one, and it doesn't matter your starting point at all, doesn't matter your age, your genetics, gender. On day one, you've got to decide, I'm in it for the journey, I'm in it for the long run, and I'll do whatever it takes to get there.
mm. And how do you think that goes with goal setting? Because you mentioned it a couple of times about setting goals and how important they are. But, you know, how can setting, the right goals actually, transform your training and almost give you that motivation and keep you on track, like you've said, when it does get tough? Like, how do they kind of fit together?
So you could have goals in terms of body composition or performance. And I think with Cali, especially, the performance goals are the ones that a lot of people are interested in, because you see people on Instagram and you're like, wait, is there actually gravity attached to that room?
Yeah.
What is going on there? And the level is getting crazy. So even for me now, I'm looking up and I'm like, whoa, there's so much more for me to learn. But yes, sorry, what was the question again?
So what's the kind of key to setting goals that,
Goal setting, yeah.
make it achievable, or where do
Yeah.
people kind of go wrong when they're starting out? Maybe saying, I want to do, I don't know, 10 pull-ups by the end of the week if they can only, maybe manage like one. I think goal setting can maybe work for and against you, but what are some of the keys to actually kind of, setting goals that put you on that path to success and setting you up for success, rather than setting a goal that you're almost kind of setting yourself up for failure, if that makes sense?
Yeah. So you can look at short-term goals, mid-term and long-term. I mainly focus on short-term and long-term. So I think you should always set your dream position or your dream outcome. That's not even attached to time. It's like, where can you see yourself and what can you do? And that's your absolute dream. For example, for me, I want to compete as an athlete at a very high level, and I also want to be the best coach in the world at what I do. That is a goal. I might not be there yet, but just that intention is going to get me there. And then like that's unachievable next week, for instance.
Yeah.
Then that's a big goal.
Yeah.
And then short-term goal would be, what can I realistically can I get within 12 weeks or sooner? You might even be able to get it within 2 weeks. If it's a case of learning a certain movement, you can acquire that quite quickly if you already have the base strength. If it's building strength, then it might take a little bit longer, and it's hard to know exactly how much time. That's the bit where you might get upset, because you think you can get there within that time because something said that you could, but everyone's individual. Over time, though, you'll learn how quickly your body responds to things and how fast this process works. And then I think you get better and better at setting the goals and less disheartened along the way. Not that that's part of it anyway. Usually you get pleasantly surprised, but there will be plateaus along the way for everyone. Even in intermediate, advanced level, it probably happens more, if I'm honest. And I think setting that goal, it needs to be realistic, it needs to be time bound. And then if you set it slightly too far, just a little bit more than what you might actually be able to do, like forget what the books say, what the posts say, really, really go for something big. And if you come up 10-20% short of it, well, you've still got further than if you set a goal down here. So you will end up somewhere in that spectrum, and probably higher than what people expect. And I think that's something that I use definitely, is actually set goals that are slightly too far. So people around me think I'm crazy on day one. Week 10, they're like, oh, what's happened? But it's just because I've had that laser focus, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna do this, not for anything else, just for myself. I'm just gonna see if I can challenge myself and get to here, because I know I can, and then climb it like that.
And I think that's, an incredible thing, because I think it's setting those big goals and setting it almost more than what you can do, which is going to push you further. But then I think the key element of what you've just said, to actually making it achievable, is to break it down into those smaller little chunks that you can do today, or you can do tomorrow, you can do next week. And like you've said, being consistent at those things, which if you tick those off every day and every week and every month, you're soon going to be chasing that big goal. But you've said it so big that it requires so much work to get there that, if you do fall short, you're going to be still at a very high level anyway.
And also you're going to see the results so fast like that. At any level, you could train like an athlete. You could train like a professional in strength. Even as a beginner, if you learn at that stage to do it, your progress would be so much faster than average, because you've cracked it. You can crack it at any point, is what I'm trying to say. And I think then you can see this next level of progress. A good example of a long-term goal, when I first got into Cali, this was before the lockdowns, I just started trying to learn front lever. I think I got a muscle up. It was probably dodgy. I don't have a video of it. I wish I did. But I was doing that sort of stuff, a few weighted pull-ups, a few weighted dips. This is probably 6 years ago. And then I injured my shoulder so bad, like I had a niggle. And obviously I still had the mindset then. I was like, yeah, let's go, work through the pain, that sort of thing. And then my shoulder went, and that put me out for 2 years. Like I couldn't lift a weight for 6 months. And when it happened, I set the goal of, I'm going to planche one day on these shoulders, because I can't even support hold. I can't even hold myself on a ring. I can't do a push-up. I can't do anything. And at that point, I was like looking at other Cali things. I was like, how are these people doing this thing? And then I was like, right, I am going to planche one day. I don't care. That was more of like a 5-year goal. And for me, planche and dips were at that point impossible. And I thought it was my form, but no, it was probably blown rotator cuff, if I'm honest. Definitely. Like I was in pain for 1.5 years. And then now that's why dips and planche are like the thing that I train the most, because I couldn't do it at all.
So you almost used that injury, that big kind of setback in your training, imagine in your life as well, to actually come back even stronger and make that thing almost probably one of your strongest. Like
exactly, just out of principle, like just like, is this possible? Physio's saying, yeah, you can maybe reach onto a shelf in 6 months, that sort of thing. And I'm like, no, I will planche on these shoulders. And you can. That's the amazing thing. Like you can come from the joint not even working, chronic pain, not being able to hold yourself, and with the right process and appreciation for your body and giving it that time. If I'd rushed that, I would have got injured, right? So it's just a case of like having that dream outcome. And I really have seen that work over time. And set it really big, set it scary. Like I'm not a light guy. I'm not one of these light Cali guys. I'm like 86 kilo now. And I think you can do anything. And with Cali as well, where gymnastics has been going for so long, we know what's possible with that, right? We know the rules of the comps and everything like that. With calisthenics, what you're seeing is the level is actually expanding, because people are inventing new exercises and new skills. So it's like we haven't even touched the ceiling yet of what's possible. It's getting nuts. But it's class.
And it's an exciting thing to see, because I think it's people truly pushing, the limits of what their body can do with their body weight. And I think that, and additional weight, if you're doing weighted stuff, but, it's truly kind of pushing the limits of what your body's capable of, isn't it?
100%. There's no one it won't test. And I think that's why you have a lot of very, very good people within the community, mindset wise as well. They're just driven. They train consistently. They're there. And there's always a good community in each gym that I've been to, and the meetups that I've been to as well. I think it's the challenge that we're addicted to.
Yeah.
Kind of sickos, but that's what we want.
Achieve it.
Yeah, is this evolving process that's really challenging you and shaping you.
And Harry, what do you think is the biggest thing, or maybe a couple of things, but what do you think the biggest thing that holds people back from actually achieving those goals? Like you set that big goal and you've achieved it, but what do you think the biggest thing that actually holds people back from achieving goals that they set?
Like consistency is a part of it, but I don't think that's the first thing, because if you really enjoyed your training, you would be consistent. Like if you wanted to be there, you have people that see training as a chore, and you have people that see training as the best thing they could be doing in that moment. And I think it is recognizing that it's such a good thing for you, for anyone, athlete or general fitness practitioner. It's just good for you. It's something that we should do, is train, whether we're pushing it or not. It's like turn up and have fun with it, move your body, because we're all sat down a lot of the time. We need that to feel good and thrive, for your brain to be healthy, for your body to be healthy. And I think it's recognizing that it's only bringing good to you that keeps you coming.
And do you think people fall off because, you know, they might be doing a training or form or plan or whatever it might be that they're not enjoying?
Yeah. Or they're not seeing results. I think if someone's seeing results, and you should see result within 2 weeks. If you're not, and you've tried these multiple plans, and yeah, maybe they don't hit the spot, they just don't hit that thing that keeps you coming back. That might evolve over time as well, and it probably will.
Yeah.
You need to keep yourself interested. That's what I would do, by setting new goals, by doing new programs, by learning new exercises. I think that's really, really important. It's the progress that, for me anyway, that I'm addicted to, that keeps me coming back. And then that can be at any level. You just feel, it feels right in the moment, and you're really present with it. You can't be doing a handstand and not be in the room in your mind. So I think for a lot of people, it's actually their form of meditation. It's their headspace.
Yeah. I love that. And Harry, what would you say to someone who maybe is, you know, starting out on their journey, or maybe they've tried it, they haven't seen the results like you've said? You know, what would you say to someone in that position?
If they were stuck and they've tried a few things.
Yeah, or if they're starting out on their journey, what would you say to someone you know, in that kind of position?
Get ready to be a unit. Basically.
Buckle in and get ready.
See yourself as an absolute unit now. The person in the mirror that you need to visualize is already there, right? So when you're looking at yourself and what you can do, you need to already be living the habits and the choices that person would make, and you will get there. It's like it is a lifestyle. It's a identity decision on day one. Like, can you do this? And then making it so that once you're set up and you're 2 weeks in, you're rolling. That's the hardest part. Day one is the hardest part. And there might be so many people on the edge, like, oh, I kind of fancy that. And then they get a little bit more inspired. And I think they might dip into it with a friend, but they never go for it. And you just need to go for it. Find a plan, go in there with confidence and do your best. That's it. And then just be in it for the long run. And yeah, just be a unit. That's it. You can be a unit day one.
I love it. I think you've summed that up perfectly. Be a unit from day one.
Yeah, it's in there. It's like, you know, it's there, and you're like, come on then.
Let's go.
Yeah.
And I think that power of visualization, you know, you might not be there yet, but, you know, believing that you are there, almost tricking your brain into, you know, thinking that you're already there. And then all you've got to do is, like you said, just walk those steps and take those actions to become that unit that you've believed you were in the first kind of day.
And you were that on day one. Like, you have to, in fact, it's harder for the day one person than it is for the day 100 person. You're more of a unit on day one. If you're going, I have more respect for the person that walks into the gym for the first time, not the one that's been there for years. It's like, when I see that, say I see someone that they're overweight and they're in their day one, but they're smashing it, and they're there, and they're not thinking it's silly, they're just going for it. I'm like, yeah, fair play. I have a lot of respect for that. It doesn't matter how advanced or beginner you are.
Yeah. Awesome. Harry, we're going to move into a couple of quick fire questions, so you can answer these as quick or as long as you want. But what was your favorite calisthenics move that you nailed?
Skills wise, planche, and then weighted wise, dips.
Hmm. And what
For
was
the
your
reasons that I explained earlier. Yeah.
and what was the hardest calisthenics move that you learned?
Banana planche.
Banana punch.
Yeah. It's not
Okay.
very common, but like a lot of people are like, oh no, if you're in a banana when you're planching, like that's not cool. But if you can planche, then banana planche, then planche, that is cool, mate.
Okay, we will get a video of banana planche, and for those that don't know that, I have no idea what a banana planche is.
No, it's not looked up in the calisthenics industry. I just in a comp just sent a banana planche just because I was like, why not?
Okay, we will get a video of Harry doing a banana planche.
Yeah, we'll
Okay,
put that up.
and Harry, what's been the best advice that you've ever received?
Mm. If you're not there yet, you haven't done enough. Like you don't deserve to be there yet. And that might sound really harsh, but it's like for me, I always thought, oh, I should be here by now. I should be here by now. And I think that's a lot of people think like that.
Mm.
And then if you really take a step back and look at it and look at the people that are achieving that or people that have achieved it in the past, and it's like, wait, they've done a lot more. It requires more of it. What I was doing was right, but more. Yeah. And then you will deserve it. And you will know that you deserve it when it happens as well.
So, Harry, what is the worst advice that you've ever received?
I don't know. Worst advice. Probably when someone like Goku says, let's see your cold planche. Like planche check. In our gym, Sweatbox, we went for a phase about a year ago where it was like planche check. Even if you can't planche check. And then if you don't do it, you're like, I don't know, weak or something. Yeah. That's bad advice. Don't do cold planche, cold Cali skills. If you can't do them. That's probably the worst advice.
I like
It's
it. I
not
like it.
advice, it's like something that there's about 10 of us like,
Yeah.
Backflip check. Yeah.
Even if
It's
you
not
can't do
good.
a backflip check.
Yeah. But even doing things cold is like
Yeah.
it's on lock if you can do that, which is fine if you can. But it is quite funny to see if you can't as well. But
To see
no,
people
that's
doing
bad advice.
backflips when they have no idea how to
No, maybe
backflip.
not backflips, but even a planche. If you're waking up, you just got into work. Imagine you haven't had a coffee yet, and then someone's like, "Planche check." It's impossible, right?
Yeah, I could see how that is some bad advice there,
Yeah,
but also testing your skills. So
yeah,
awesome. And Harry, as part of Rico, we want to kind of inspire people to be the change and kind of not just talk about it, but get out there and actually kind of make a difference, whether that's for yourself or the community or the planet or whatever that kind of is to you. But I wanted to ask you, what does being the change mean to you?
I really like that. I think it's saying that you can do it. Basically, you can be the change. You can change things and help others and do good. That's what that means to me, and develop yourself as well, because it's like evolving, changing. Yeah, I think it's I really like it as a slogan.
Awesome. Well, Harry, it's been an absolute pleasure. Loved having you on here. Loved hearing your story, all of your knowledge and your advice. And
Cheers, man.
yeah, really appreciate you taking the time.
Nice one. Loved it.
Amazing. Harry, where can people follow you, or where can people find out what you're doing? What have you kind of got going on that you want to kind of let people know about?
Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Calisthenics Compounds. I'm mainly on Instagram at the moment, but I will be developing a YouTube channel over the next couple of years and then going that way it's all online service PTing that I'm doing now. So it's one-to-one, it's very personalized, and then it covers all aspects: training, nutrition, mindset, coaching calls, rehab, whatever it is. We can solve that problem and get you to that next level,
Awesome.
regardless of your starting point. I will be able to change people's bodies and in the way that they want, that's also in line with health, and then get them the skills, get them the performance, compete as an athlete, whatever the goal, like we can do it.
Awesome.
That is what I'm doing.
Awesome. Love to hear it.
Cheers, man.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Harry.